Good morning, everyone. The world around today, it's the 14th of February, and everyone, whether they are single or married or in a relationship, are in love. They're buying chocolates like crazy. They're buying flowers like crazy. They're sending little cards, little hearts. Children all around in schools are celebrating what you and I want to enjoy every day of our lives. So I say happy Valentine's Day to you, and I dub thee lover of the world, lover of humanity, and thank you for being here. Whether you're listening live or listening 50 years from now on YouTube or wherever you catch the Daily Huddle as your favorite podcast, welcome. My name is Sheila R. I am the co-founder of the Daily Huddle, along with my very good friend, Mr. Giovanni Gonzalez, who is not here today, but loves you more than you'll ever know. Today, I'm delighted to have with us a phenomenal human being, Miss Sheila R. Carmichael. Sheila wants us to dig into this question this morning. What beliefs or mindsets might be limiting your leadership potential? And when you think of your leadership, I invite you this morning to think of it as in a very broad way. See, I do believe, Coach Sheila, that to be alive is to be leading. To be speaking is to be leading. And in a way, in whatever relationship our viewers find themselves today, there is what you bring to the party that I know will have them discover the mindsets or beliefs that are limiting them right where they are. So, folks, I want to tell you just a little bit about my good friend, Sheila Carmichael. She is recognized not just by me, but by the world as a global executive coach and development strategist. She holds the title Authentic Leadership Architect. If you can imagine this, right? There you are, and you're imagining the type of leader you want to be, and you want somebody with you who's got the capacity, the love, the patience, and the wherewithal to say, put this little piece here, put this little piece there, and before you know it, you've got a rendition in your mind, in your heart, right there in front of you too, which is the plan, the blueprint for your leadership. Sheila R. Carmichael is that expert, that partner, that kind of trusted advisor who's there to create with her clients exactly that, a representation of the reality that their leadership can be when they choose it. Good morning, Sheila, and welcome to the Daily Huddle.
Wow. What a way to kick off the morning. Thank you so much. It's truly an honor to be here, Sorrel. I so love it. Thank you so much. You said so much with that. That's something that really stood out was the relationship piece. And where we're going in today is that relationship with yourself. Yeah.
No, most, not most of it, but a
Yeah.
good bit of it, you
Yeah.
captured in your first, is it your first book?
It is the first book.
I want to celebrate that. I want to say congratulations. The book, folks, is entitled Presence,
Yeah.
Self-Coaching Strategies. And out of all that thinking, Sheila, you invite us this morning to look, see, and say what beliefs or mindsets are limiting our leadership strategies. So the question I want to pose first is this. When you say mindset,
Mhm.
I think people have sort of a general conceptual view of what mindset is. Let's start there.
Mhm.
What do you say is mindset?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. The way I think of your mindset is the way, let's just reverse the words. I do things a little differently. So, how are you setting the way you're thinking? So, the way that your thoughts are leading you And it's interesting because some say, and research is out there that shows, is it the sensations that's triggering the thoughts, or is it the thoughts that's triggering the sensation?
Mm.
And really, from a neuroscience perspective, they're really intermingled. They're syncing so quickly with each other. One feeds off of the other. So it's what's really setting your thoughts, what's setting your emotions, what's setting those spidey senses that are triggering off, you know? So mindset or setting your mind. That's the
So
way I look at it.
it's both actually,
Yeah.
right? If I hear you correctly, there is a way we human beings set our minds,
Mhm,
thoughts we think.
mhm.
By the time we think that thought, the feelings it generates internally, it's so quick that we could get confused and think that maybe the feelings generate the thought and vice versa.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. So it's both. So now the word limiting in
Mhm,
this question, what beliefs or mindset might be limiting your leadership? Let's take a look at the word limiting.
mhm.
How are we as human beings who aspire to be leaders, who make a difference in the world, run effective organizations, and leave a legacy? How are we limiting? And maybe we don't see it as being.
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'm going to take what you said before and let's add to it because that's where the limiting is coming in my opinion. If the way I'm thinking about something is maybe not accurate, it's not factual, there's no sound, sound notions for it, then might I be limiting or reducing the opportunity around it? Yeah. So, how I'm looking at it, how I'm thinking about it, and not to say that our emotions aren't warranted. They're really like dashboards giving us signals, almost like on the car that's saying your tire's a little flat, or you need to put some oil in the car. Well, those emotions are really your dashboard telling you to become aware of something.
Yeah.
It's a signal. And so if am I reducing my capability or the opportunity for something by not paying attention to the dashboard accurately?
Mm. This bears repeating, right? Because mostly when people, human beings, feel emotions,
Mhm.
we've been trained over the course of a lifetime to
Yes.
deal with the emotion itself and take actions to try to soothe it or maybe make it disappear. And
Mhm.
you're saying
No,
that is not the purpose at all.
it's not. I mean, think about it, Sarah. We are uniquely designed with both the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, the all the things that give us joy as well as the things that give us pain.
Mm.
And if we're not paying attention to maybe some of the patterns around that or the causes, it could reduce our capabilities of being even the best leader that we can be in that moment.
So our mindset and our beliefs limit us in that way.
Mhm.
And they limit living. And given that to live is to be a leader, so they limit our leadership.
Mhm.
Could you take a moment and give us a sense of the limiting beliefs and mindsets that are prevailing in humanity?
Oh, wow. In humanity.
And I say it without joking because what impacts one, I believe, impacts all. It's
It
not
does. It
Coach
does.
Sorrell or Stan Anderson have this specific kind of impediment.
Yes.
I relate to it as a human condition. What do
Yeah. I'm gonna look at that question from this perspective because you're right. Every action is causing another action. It's a rippling effect to it, right? So let me phrase it this way. So in the book, I mentioned this 3D authentic present formula. And that actually can help you unlock those limits. So if I'm the first D talks about how am I defining those realities? And if the way I'm looking at it, the way I'm feeling about it, the way I'm sensing about it is restricting me actually seeing the realities, I've just reduced a piece of that response that I can put to it. So
Mm.
first define what are the facts behind what's going on the outside. There was a TV show called Dragnet and the sergeant was called Joe Friday. So just stick with the facts, okay?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yes, and the same way you do that, instead of running straight to action, which many of us do, here's what's going on, this is what I've got to do. Put one more check in the middle, which is discover what are the realities inside. That's where those emotions and those thoughts and how they're making you feel, what you're thinking, before you decide a choice of action, because now you're blending in more holistically. If
So
I go ahead, sorry.
pause here and bring it to life
Yeah.
itself. Uh, where in your life and in your leadership have you had the opportunity to exercise that?
Oh my God, every day.
Give us an example.
Uh, there's one pressing on my heart that I won't mention, but I can tell you that when I was going through one of many corporate transitions, there's an expectation that we have. Company's going to take care of us. They're going to support us. They're going to, have our best interest at heart. They don't always do that. And so as I was going into the office to share what the strategy was going to be for myself and my team in the upcoming year, my leader said to me, we need to have that talk. And coming from an HR background, I knew that what that meant. That meant something different. So it was almost like a shock to the system. Well, fast forward through the story, I wasn't really listening to the details of everything that he was saying because I literally was applying this formula. What's the reality right now? I just moved my parents down. They're in their season of life where things are starting to decline. I'm supporting them. I've gone through this horrific divorce. Things are just really stirring and happening all over the place. And then I thought I can be bitter, I can be angry, I can lash out that it's this guy, but is that really going to give me what I need for me and my family? Is that going to support the values that I hold from within?
Hmm.
So again, another fast forward step ahead. Instead of reacting out of an emotion of hurt and betrayal, I just had the conversation with him and said, here's what I'm looking that I'm going to need. And I was able to do that calmly because I could choose now what I needed for me versus going around the office and telling everybody how bad it was or how awful this was to fly me all the way up here from Atlanta to hire me. I could have gotten on the internet and blasted the whole, but no, it was a wonderful company. Business decisions are business decisions. And
Yeah,
that decision for me at that time was a decision for me. So when
yeah,
we take the time to understand the facts on the outside as well as the inside, because it's an inside job that's going to fuel the way you show up on the outside.
yeah,
The best choices.
yeah. What I'm getting from your story there, Sheila, is that maybe to be emotionally intelligent isn't an action at all.
Mhm.
It's more an acceptance of the emotions as the guideposts they are,
Absolutely.
like a
When we
signal
acknowledge
to
them.
look for the facts.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you acknowledge that this is what you're feeling, you're not suppressing it.
yeah,
You're not ignoring it. It's just like that light on the car dashboard. If
yeah,
you ignore that warning light that that tire is flat or getting low, what will happen?
yeah,
You're going to have a situation. So
yeah.
it's the same thing. Pay attention to the signals and not just the emotions, but the thoughts that are being attached to them. We
Yeah.
really have three minds: the way we're thinking, the way we're feeling, and the way our intuition is setting off. And when we put the three together, we're thinking more holistically than if we're just reacting to the emotion or reacting to the thought, or this is what I think is going to happen from a sensing perspective.
So back to the book,
Mm.
Presence,
Yeah.
Self-Coaching Strategies. You talked about the first D.
Yes.
Let's go into the second for a little bit, and then the third a little bit later. And then we'll
Yeah.
open it up for questions. What's
Yeah.
the first was define, right?
To define the external realities. The second D is to discover your internal realities. So
Mm.
we've kind of blended them in together when we were looking at that. An example might be on the external reality, someone responded without all the data. They didn't give me all the information that I needed in front of me. I don't have all the information in front of me. There are some things that are missing. On the inside, what's that being triggered? I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. This is where you just said we've got to acknowledge it and we've got to put the label on it. And then if we go to the third D, what's the choice that I want to make, the conscious choice as a result?
And when you say the third D, I'm imagining it's a D word. So
It's
there's find, discover, and
decide. Yes.
so the
Find the realities, discover the internal realities, and decide the correct choice of action.
yeah. And and if I may jump to a conclusion and rip it out of my mouth if you need to, when a leader follows this approach, the 3D approach, it leaves them naturally shifting away from being limited by what's there naturally to being in a position to stand on the shoulders or stand on the foundation that what's there naturally provides to make decisions and choose in a way that serves the world, serves them, and serves the situation itself.
Yes, when practicing this, and of course, there's other dynamics involved with this, understanding your core values and in other areas. But here's the thing, you're absolutely right. You probably are using this and don't even realize it.
Mm,
When there's something very important to you, you probably are following this method.
yeah,
You've just gotten news of um, a, a sickness for your child and you have no control over it and you're processing it, right? Or something that really is without your reach, you're processing it and you probably apply it. But here's the thing, sometimes what's common knowledge, and even we've practiced it a few times, isn't always common practice. So
mm,
I'm just bringing it to the awareness so that you can build those muscles and demonstrate it, because you're right, your behavior will be a model for others to follow. And that's where it's impacting the rest of the world.
mm.
If you're holding up this, I am truly going to take just 90 seconds to understand what's going on, really, then I can demonstrate to others how to manage their emotions and their well-being.
Yeah, so maybe everything that happens in life is an opportunity to lead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Sheila, before we open it up for questions, I'd love for the world to get a sense of how you got here, not on the Daily Huddle, but what inspired this, right? And what's the trajectory that you went through in your life? What did you have to overcome? Whatever you want to share to give people a sense that the kind of poise, the kind of leadership capacity that you demonstrate and practice isn't something that's just special to Sheila. It's achievable. It's attainable. And Sheila did it. So how did Sheila get here?
Oh, wow. You ask such loaded, big questions. you know, how did I get to here? And then what's kind of the trajectory from here? It's interesting because this was planted probably about 15, 16 years ago.
Mm.
And I wasn't even acknowledging it when it was planted. Many of my clients and family was saying, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You've been through so much in life, Sheila. You need to write a book. People need to hear your story. I said, nobody needs to hear that story. It's too much to tell. And so I kept putting it off and putting it off. And about 2 years ago, I went to a conference and the seed was like watered from this conference. And it was almost as, it really was like a spiritual moment. It's time to write it. And that's what hit. And so that's when I wrote it. And it's interesting, once you get this thing to do, you get tested around it. So everything that's been in here, it's like we've got to build your muscles so that you can speak even more eloquently about it. So we're going to test all your D's and everything. Once you put it out there, then something tries to knock it down. And that's exactly what's been happening over the last year and a couple of months. So what's the trajectory of this? I'm really not sure, but I do know one thing. It is to let a lot of people know that no matter what you're going through, whether it's personal, professional, life in general, there is a way to come back. There is a process that you can take. There's a season for you to step into. And there's something that this moment right now is teaching you. And it may not even be for yourself, it may be for you to demonstrate as a leader for others because of the reach you have and the sphere you have of that reach. So if you can take this approach to help you to help others, wow, wouldn't it be a wonderful world we'd live in?
Yeah. And you've captured it so beautifully. And just to leave people in the presence of the approach before we open it up for question, could you summarize the approach?
It's an inside job. It really is. Presence is an inside job. Just approach things knowing that you're not perfect. And if you just take that moment to understand the core question we always are asking ourselves, what's going on? By using this method, then you can figure it out. You can make the choice for it.
Discover, define, discover, decide.
Yes.
It's an inside job.
It's an inside job.
All right. Well, let's see. Who wants to ask Coach Sheila a question or make a comment or simply say, what's opening up for you, having been in this conversation? The floor is open.
Hi, Sheila. I want to thank you so much. I'm Stan Anderson in New York. Um, Thanks for being with us. Um, what would you say? What would you say if I wanted to start at some baseline point of loving myself better? What would you say it would be? What would be a good place to start?
Oh, wow. Well, first, hello, my fellow New Yorker.
I'm here in Queens. Yep, grew up in Brooklyn. Here in Queens.
All righty. So the question is, what would I say is the baseline for loving yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, so because I'm a coach, I'm going to have it with a question. Why wouldn't you love yourself? And what's
Well, mm, I'm not so sure I'm asking it from the point of view of not loving yourself, but I'm
Mhm.
talking about just enhancing that feeling of love, or just
Okay.
increasing that feeling of love. Yeah.
Okay. So if it's not so much about not loving yourself, but how
Yeah.
can you elevate, right? And
How
enhance.
can that's a good word. How can I
Yeah.
elevate
How
that love?
can you
Yeah.
elevate it and enhance it? Okay.
Mhm.
What's interesting with that for me is the opportunities that can open up as a result of that. So it's almost as if you want to step into the world of imagination. What if? So that would be my core question for you around that. What if you did? Once you see a possibility of something, it kind of pulls you in, and that'll enhance and lift you up, is what I'm thinking. But I need a little bit more context around that, because that's a big question.
That's a phenomenal question, Stan. And standing on your shoulders, Sheila, I'd say this: you opened it up very nicely. You said, "What if?" It's an inside job you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So self-love is an inside job. The elevation of self-love is an inside job.
Yes.
And my access to anything, given that it's an inside job, is my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say what if I could elevate the way I love myself and the feeling of love I have for myself? And then something will show up in that inquiry. And it's not an answer.
Yeah.
It's one of those guideposts in terms of an emotion or something that shows up and leaves me free to act on it. Because in the moment of asking the question, I get to determine and discover. And as I determine and discover, I can choose in that moment to be obedient to what I discover and actually take an action consistent to my new revelation of what it is to elevate my love for myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man,
Thank you.
3D is like universal.
It really
You can
is.
run with it anywhere.
It really is.
Yeah.
Stan, I don't know, did that help support your
Yes, that, I
question?
mean that definitely helped. That definitely helped because I'm always just trying to find a better way to articulate that myself when I'm speaking,
Mhm.
and because everybody's going to start. Everybody's going to start from base of where they are. You can only start from where you are, and
Exactly.
who the first place to go, and I can clearly see that is with a question like what if, because anytime we ask a question, we do get an answer. Whether
Mhm.
it is an answer we're really looking for or not, but we're going to get an answer. If you pose a question, you're going to get an answer. Your
Mhm.
mind is going to start asking, your mind is going to come up with some scenarios. So you pretty
Exactly.
much take yourself into the theater of imagination with a question.
Yeah.
I get that.
Can I play a little with that? Do you mind?
Yeah.
So what if you could define the next course of action for yourself? What
Mhm.
if you could discover a whole new possibility? And what if you could make a different choice? So the 3D formula is not so linear. It has some dynamics around it. But just with that question of love for self, what if I could define the way others look at me and love me on the outside? And what if I could discover ways in which I can love myself? Then how would I choose differently? What decisions would I make the next time someone betrayed me, let me down, or disappointed me? The reason I call it self-coaching questions, because I truly believe everybody is their own subject matter expert around life. You know you a whole lot better even than Coach Sheila can get to know you. So if you have the right resource to self-coach yourself, you're going to get the best expert answers to respond to your situations. I can get all day, Sorrel, so you got to reel me in.
And this is special because beyond the intellectual nature of the question, what beliefs and mindsets might be limiting your leadership right now? There is this opportunity engaging with Stan that leaves it anchored in reality.
Yes.
See, the question itself is not one that's begging for an answer, but it's one that's begging for us to engage in self-leadership.
Mhm.
Such self-leadership through the 3D approach leaves us leading the world around us.
Mhm.
So thank you. Thank you, Stan. Yeah. Coach Sheila, I'd love for you to close with 2 words, and I want to frame these 2 words, right?
Okay.
You talked about lessons earlier.
Mhm.
If you had 1 or 2 words to characterize the lesson you learned that made your book Presence possible as a contribution to the world, that's 1. 2 words for the lesson that actually fueled that, and then 2 words for the difference you're committed and say that presence exists to make in the world.
So the 2 words were my lessons from going through this journey. Trusting me.
I got that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the 2 words, can you repeat the second part for
Yeah.
me?
2 words for the difference and the legacy you want the book to be.
It's going to sound corny. I'm a corny kind of girl.
Go for it.
Trusting you.
I got it. So your lesson is your legacy for the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
It-
Thank you for trusting yourself. Thank you for writing Presence, self-coaching strategies for everyday leaders and all leaders. And thank you for trusting you. And thank you for giving us the gift of trusting ourselves.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Here we are, folks. This is your daily huddle for today. I'm expressing my gratitude for Coach Sheila Carmichael and her gift to us today. And I'm expressing my gratitude and saying thank you to you for being here, for giving your listening and your attention and so generously. Stan, thank you for participating the way you did. And all of you, thank you for participating the way you did. All is well. So today's the 14th. And you got to go buy some chocolate. You got to go buy some flowers. Why not? Because the first of our 8 tenets to end the show is love. And today, whether you have been conscious of expressing it, sharing it, giving it away, go love yourself, go love someone. And the second tenet is laugh out loud. Something happens inside your body when you laugh that literally rewires the neuronal patterns in your brain and leaves you a new human being. So laugh out loud, go crazy. If you can't laugh, go find somebody to tickle you, for God's sake. And stress less. When you laugh and love, you will stress less. Eat mostly plant-based. It will leave you energized. It will leave you fueled to do what you were born to do, which is to love and to lead. Sleep, get some rest, give, move your body. And last but not least, just when you think the emotions that show up in your life are for you to deal with and solve, use them as your guideposts to use the 3D method to discover, to define, and to decide. And you can do that every time you get present to your emotions and what's inside. So go forth, love all you can today, but don't just do it today. Do it for the rest of your life. I love you. Giovanni loves you more. And Coach Sheila is love herself. This is your Daily Huddle for today.
Thank you.